There he is.
All right.
Holy shit, buddy.
Can't see you yet, but hear
Oh,
that
fuck.
beautiful voice of yours.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, there we go. What's up, buddy?
Fuck, what is going on in your world? Steve
Oh,
Stebbing on
man.
the podcast, man. This is a
Fuck.
long time. This should have fucking happened in like the first year. I mean,
Dude.
obviously you did some feature stuff with us. People
Hmm,
know you
hmm.
from listening to this podcast, but
For sure.
like you as an actual guest, man, this should have happened
I know.
a
I
long time.
feel I'm giddy. I'm like honored. Like when I got the text, I was like, oh fuck. I
Well,
showed it to my wife, Jen. I'm like, Jen. She's like, yeah. So yeah,
right. Well, I'd mentioned, I think it was a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, that you were a big catalyst of the reason why there's even a Toddcast at all, that it even exists. So sorry if you got hate mail for that.
No, I mean it's for me it's like it's such it's an honor to even be thought like that and to think that I inspired anything, and it's so cool to see just I mean what you've done with it, what you've done with the medium and everything, because like I mean I was inspired by Kevin Smith, so it's kind of just like a just kind of like a pay it for like passing it forward type thing as soon as you latch onto something. And also, just out of my little basement, kind of to create something like that and for people to grab and put their stamp on it, it's so fucking cool. Like it's
Yeah,
honestly the
I mean that's
coolest
what it
thing.
literally was too. Like it was like when I was still working at CFOX and you'd
Mhm.
invited me over to your place to kind of talk about comics and fucking just kind of geek out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's like right in my wheelhouse. And then kind of to watch, you doing your thing. And then when I got let go from CFOX, so many of my friends were like, dude, you don't need to go back to radio. Like, why don't you just start the podcast? Uh, and yeah, man, I'm like 7 years in, dude,
It's crazy. It's
which is
crazy.
nuts.
I know, like when I think about it, like next year will be 10 years
Wow.
for me, and it's like I mean there is so much cool stuff that came out of it, like to bring all at the time all you radio guys onto my show and then form those friendships and everything was the coolest thing, because I never expected it to go beyond that, I mean like us becoming friends, me and Drex becoming like friends and everything. Like it was like almost like a back door into doing fun and cool stuff that I never knew kind of existed, right? And the
Yeah.
friendships that you make along the way, because everyone's creative in their own ways, and you kind of latch on to creative people as you kind of go along and stuff, and it's rewarding, really.
Yeah, no, totally. And you're saying like 10 years for you,
Yeah.
dude, when you were fucking doing podcasts 10 years ago, now everybody and their dog has a podcast,
I know.
especially with COVID and like fucking
Hmm.
people are just dying for it, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
like, what was it that got you going? It was Kevin Smith that got you started
Yeah.
doing a podcast?
I mean, largely, yeah. It was the fact that he had, because I mean, him and Joe Rogan and a couple other people are like the kind of the beginning, the forefathers of podcasting, really.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Joe
and so,
Rogan's huge.
oh, absolutely.
It's
But
crazy.
yeah, and a little sad sometimes, but
Also that.
yeah, it's a whole thing. But
Yeah.
Kevin Smith is the guy that made the leap to, well, I'm gonna make like a streaming thing of not just my show, but I'm kind of eclectic. I want to make all these other different shows and stuff, and my friends want to make show. And he made the Smodcast internet radio. He made Sir, which was
Right.
what I had. Like I at my day job, I had it on the widget on the screen and playing through my speakers. Probably not the best idea given the content that was coming out of like Smodcast and like their
Yeah.
morning show and everything, because it's just completely uncensored, right? And stream of consciousness stuff, because some of it was actually live, right? There were live streaming podcasts, which is a huge thing, right?
Right.
And I was like, this is really cool. I really like this. But like beyond that, like I want to do it. I think I could do it. I think I have stuff to say, really. And I think I was a bit like ambitious, like grandiosely ambitious, because then I was like, well, I want to get all my friends and we'll all have different shows and all this kind of stuff, and like try to
Right.
like,
You were trying to start a network.
I was trying to start a network. Yeah, like more than a decade ago is when I first like had the idea to do that, and that became the League of Man Children, which
Right.
was a few shows, right? But then as like people's level of involvement started to change, other, you know, day jobs are a thing, obviously, and stuff, and it doesn't. Sometimes schedules don't match up anymore, and stuff kind of has to fall by the wayside. But
Right.
by that point, I'm like, I've made a lot of friends and everything, so I'm also here and there making the leap to radio and stuff. Like it's it's been like the weirdest, um kind of a unique experience, just to kind of go from like really amateur to like legit.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, the really amateur, like the beginning stuff, like our first recording as a group of people was basically all of us yelling at a mic in the center of a room. Like, it's embarrassing to even think about now. It's
Right.
like the humblest beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now how long you been living in the Okanagan for now?
I think it's been over 3 years now, or
Right.
coming up on 3 years. I think
And
we just crossed the 3 year mark.
okay. And how are things like? I mean, I was supposed to go up there with the family for,
Yeah,
you know, the
it's
tail end of August, and the wildfires kind of stomped that out.
I know, and especially for the wildfires to do that after the shutdown that was the pandemic and everything, that is still very much going on, especially out here, because we have Kelowna nearby us, and the
Right.
spread necks
The spread necks. That's
in
nice. I'm
that
stealing that.
area. In that area, yeah, it's hilarious as it is sad. Really it is. But I mean, it's a tourist city that I live in, right? Like Penticton very much is like kind of caters to that crowd,
Yeah.
that being a summer town, and it kind of crushed a lot out here, and it still is.
Yeah. Scary
So
stuff, right?
it is. And then, I mean, over this last week, even I watched a fire on Skaha Hills, which is I can see from my back window, and it's glowing like Mount Doom on Sunday night.
Wow.
Like, throw the ring in it, it's done.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I
it's
know, right? It's absolutely crazy.
yeah.
So, well, let's get into, you know, we know you as a podcaster, we know
Sure.
you as a movie critic. So let's get into the movies. Like, what's your first like memory of film?
Oh boy. Like my first memories are like um grabbing stuff at the video store and VHS and everything, and
Right.
like just grabbing random movies that my mom would let me watch, going to Transformers the movie in theaters, the cartoon movie. I remember crying in the theater because, spoiler alert, they kill Optimus Prime,
No.
and I was just devastated,
Yeah.
absolutely devastated. I remember breaking my Ghostbusters VHS tape because I had watched it so much. But then, you know, I remember in the 90s being reluctantly, because I'm a huge horror guy now, huge horror guy. And I remember being so scared of it, like right up until into my preteen years. And then at like a friend sleepover, like a birthday party sleepover, there's nothing but horror movies. You got to sit and watch these. You got to act cool.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that kind of clockwork oranging of myself, and like
Like,
forcing myself to watch. Yeah, exactly. Like just
Steve
like
must watch
exactly.
horror
I
movies.
think that um I think that helped me. Um that was a bridge, because I kind of like, then I wanted to watch everything like that afterwards. Maybe it was the fact that it was prefaced by RoboCop and the gore that's in RoboCop, because
Oh
there
yeah.
is a few sequences of pretty gnarly gore in it, and I was like, it's a good lead in. But the movie that honestly opened me up to watching movies more closely, and it's not even like a pretentious movie or anything like that, but it's The Crow, Brandon Lee, The Crow.
Oh,
And it's
and
just the
and
art
didn't he die
direction.
on the set of that?
Yes, he did. And apparently everyone was just to the gills on cocaine on that set,
What?
like grips, like everybody.
Well,
Everybody
that's maybe explaining why there was a fucking loaded gun.
It wasn't a loaded gun. It was a spent blank casing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was caught in the chamber. And it's funny, the actor that shot him, if anyone knows the movie well, it's the guy that plays Sick Boy in it, Michael Massey. And it's a revolver, like it's a big greasy ass revolver, and he shoots him with it. And yeah, there was a spent casing. And that guy basically retired from acting for a while.
Yeah, dude,
like
imagine,
he was just PTSD'd.
Yeah.
You killed Brandon Lee. Like, it's not your fault. A prop guy clicks the gun together, hands it over to you.
But still, you're the guy.
You're the guy. You pull the fucking trigger, and you killed. I mean, you could have killed a guy that had so much promise. He was better than his dad in certain ways, in certain like charisma ways in front of the camera, right? Like he only had he had Showdown in Little Tokyo, he had Rapid Fire, and then he had The Crow.
Crazy.
Right. And The Crow was like showing some range for being a comic book movie, which people didn't know at the time it was a comic book movie.
Mm-hmm.
He has some range in that movie. And I mean, I also have a love affair with it because that soundtrack's probably one of the greatest of all time.
Dude, the soundtrack is amazing. I mean, it's got like Cypress Hill and Rage Against the Machine, and like it's fucking awesome.
And like a really cool loungy Rage Against the Machine song, like a song that has like one of those, like Darkness has such a weird flow to it. I mean, totally. It's got a dark Violent Femme song on it, like a dark one. Right. It's got a song of Pantera's that doesn't feature on anything else, The Badge. I don't think you can find it anywhere else.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And thus another like symbiotic relationship is my love of music and my love of film, because it's just kind of all put together. So maybe that's why The Crow is such a like 0 point for me.
Interesting. So where does sorry to cut you off, where does with music and film, where does Rob Zombie, because if you're a big fan of horror, like where does that play into, you know, where's he in your
you know, I will put it like this, and I love some of Rob Zombie's work.
Yeah, Devil's Rejects was amazing.
Devil's Rejects is really good, way better than it had any right to be, because it is a completely different movie than House of a Thousand Corpses, which is very much this pulpy, just kind of gross and grangy, like something you would see in like a dirty theater in the 70s. Like it's just weird ass movie. And I even really, really, really like his Halloween movies. They're dirty trailer park versions of that story. And then and this, a lot of people differ with me this, I do enjoy Lords of Salem. I understand it's kind of more of a vanity project to put his wife in, but so much of his work has been vanity projects for his wife, to put his wife in. Like it's
totally.
It's a thing. After then, he loses me. 31 was not good. And
haven't seen it.
3 from Hell. It's on Shudder and Amazon right now. It's essentially the sequel to Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
It's garbage. I'm so sorry. It is just, I love Rob Zombie. He's a freaking legend, but why that movie? Just so much. Just, I didn't understand the point of it.
Right.
And I was upset by that fact at a certain point. When you dedicate a certain amount of your time to it, you're just like, and why?
What do you like better? Do you like his music or his movies better?
I think I like his movies more. There are songs out of his albums that I really like, but I would say that would be more towards the earlier point of his career.
Yeah, same.
And as a solo act as well.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like he's repeating himself.
And
in film as well too. In film, very much.
I mean, the music, I think he's definitely repeating himself for sure. Yeah. But he's I mean, as far as like a metalhead and a concert going metalhead that I was, Rob Zombie's untouchable in a lot of ways. Oh, big time. I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which of course is not a zombie movie, it's a Quentin Tarantino. But that was a really good movie. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I saw that one in theaters, and then Sony had this big they sent me this big prize pack with it and everything to try to promote it. I'm like, don't worry, guys, I love the movie,
Yeah.
but the perks of being being a critic sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked it. It's definitely a Quentin. We were talking about vanity projects with Rob Zombie and his wife. This one's like him waxing on everything that inspired him and brought him to where he was.
Totally.
I mean, the thing I really love about Quentin is that he was a movie store guy, and I was a movie store guy. I worked at a movie store for 5-6 years,
Yeah.
and so I when I see filmmakers that were those guys, like I believe Edgar Wright was one as well. So when I look at their films, I'm like, oh, this is like he's pulling like this from this and this and this, and
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's full of that.
Dude, yeah. And what's cool is that like you almost get a little bit of a taste of like, here's what would happen if I did a movie like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's completely different than the rest of the 90-95% of the movie, but
Yeah.
you get a feel of like what Quentin Tarantino would do if he were to do that style of film.
Here's a question though, because he's done it twice now, and this little bit of spoiler territory. I'll say this applies to this film and Inglorious Bastards.
Okay.
He changes history. Are you okay with him changing history?
Yeah, I think I am.
Yeah, for his own, like, he's probably one of the only filmmakers that you'll allow, like a known filmmaker that you will allow to get away with changing history. Like, okay, you're allowed to kill Hitler.
Right.
Okay, you can swerve and have Manson's followers get fucking brutalized by the neighbors instead of killing Sharon Tate and her friends.
Yeah.
I like the Sharon Tate one. I can see rubbing people the wrong way. Hitler is like, everyone wants to kill Hitler. Like, it's like,
well, wasn't there a big like brouhaha about the way that speaking of Brandon Lee, how Bruce Lee was portrayed in that film? Wasn't there like some controversy there?
There's still back and forth. The family, I forget what her name is, but the family of Bruce Lee, which I guess would be a granddaughter maybe at this point or something like that. Has been trading back and forth these barbs with Tarantino, and still because, well, I think it was renewed too recently because they published Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as a book now.
Okay.
It's like the book written by Quentin Tarantino, so it's like, again, you're rehashing the Bruce Lee, because that scene is like a pivotal scene, and like it does make Bruce Lee look like just a raging douchebag.
Totally.
Just like, my hands are lethal weapons. Like that whole like
as he's looking at it.
Yeah, and it doesn't paint him in a good light at all. But like, I mean, Tarantino at the same time has always been no apologies about anything he does.
No, always over the top.
Exactly. He hates it when people derive inflammatory morals and stuff like that. Like there was the British reporter that came after him on violence against women. It was the same British guy that like snagged that Diana interview in the mid-90s.
Okay.
That really controversial interview.
Yeah.
Same guy. So he just asks incendiary questions. Like he's done it to Robert Downey Jr. He does it to everybody.
Pushing the buttons.
Exactly. That's the kind of interviewer he is, which is not the template ever to go off of.
No.
But yeah, I mean, Tarantino is what he is. I love Once Upon a Time. Not my favorite.
What is his best? What's your favorite from Tarantino?
Mine personally is The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, great show.
It's so cool. It's one location, like generally one location. It's very much set up like a stage play. It's just playing to all my snobberies, I think, like in film. And I mean, there's not a performance you can take out of it and be like, that wasn't very good. Like everybody is on fire in that movie. And I think it really, especially to a newer generation, gives like, hey, Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's a really great actress that was really good in the 90s. She's still really good.
Mhm.
Like I love how he grabs actors that he loves and makes us love them even
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was because of him that I had a geek out moment about Robert Forster on the set of Backstrom when I was just a PA.
Okay.
Robert Forster walked by me and I was just thinking Jackie Brown, Jackie Brown, Jackie Brown, Jackie Brown. I almost lost it. And it's Robert Forster.
Nice. What have you been binge watching lately
Oh
for
boy.
shows?
Uh I have like this feels like it's everybody's answer right now, but um because I have access to just finished season 2 of Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah.
I freaking love that show.
Jason Sudeikis is so good, man.
He is. It makes you like it makes you seriously wonder how much of Ted Lasso is that Sudeikis charm that we know and we've seen for a long time, and how much is it the really great writing, because it is really great writing.
Well, it's great
So
writing, but it also makes you think like how much of that is just ad-libbed and fucking around.
that too. I also find it interesting that two of the breakout characters, which would be Coach Beard, who I really enjoyed in that show, and Roy Kent, who is the freaking breakout star. Like, he's Roy fucking Kent. Like, he's
Right.
the best. They're both writers. They're not actors. Those are both writers on the team that wrote these characters, and they're like, well, to get this across, I need to do it. And then the people that are doing the casting are like, why are we casting people? You
Like,
can just do
you're
it.
doing it. Fucking do it.
And now they're winning he just won a Hollywood Film Guild award, and like he's, as far as award season goes, Ted Lasso is just gonna
Clean up.
clean up. Like,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, I've been rewatching Preacher recently because it's on
Mm,
Amazon.
yeah.
I love that because I
Another
love the
great show.
comic book. The comic books are like my favorite comic
Yeah.
of
I
all
mean, it doesn't
time.
touch the comic book. The comic
No,
book's amazing.
it's a new thing. It's a
Yeah.
new thing. It's just like The Boys. The Boys is a new direction. The Boys is also another one of my favorite comics of all time. A theme here being Garth Ennis is a comic god.
Yeah.
But I was late to the game on The Witcher. I really enjoyed it. I don't play the video game at all, so I have no basis of reference. And it's super heady. Like, there's this whole like world that they drop you into, and it's like, like creatures and like medieval times and everything. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's really heady, but I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. And then Miss Maisel, the wife, and I have been really liking that one.
Okay.
We're late to the game on that one too, just incredibly well written. And then there's a show with Adie Bryant. It's already over now. It's on Crave, called Shrill. And
Never
basically
heard of
she's
it.
a writer living in LA, just trying to make her mark and everything. And it's just like a really well written, like kind of situational comedy.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's all over the place, man. All over.
I think like everybody is, right?
Yeah.
Are you Marvel or DC?
Oh, well, I have my things on both sides. Like, I'm still like deeply a Batman fan. Like,
Yeah.
how can you, as a comic fan, how can you be like, I'm not into Batman? They don't tell Batman stories that I like. And, like, I don't know how you can be a comic fan and be like that, especially when there's books that exist like Hush and The Long
Hush.
Halloween.
I got Hush for Christmas. It was
Hush is brilliant.
phenomenal.
It's so good, and I love the deep rooted connection stories to Batman and the Wayne family and their history and everything. I love when they bring that kind of stuff into it.
Yeah.
They actually just recently adapted The Long Halloween as two of those DC animated movies, and they're actually pretty good.
Oh, cool.
Unfortunately, they kind of miss a bunch of subtext, being that going from a big freaking Bible to hour and 20-minute long movies, you're gonna have to cut some stuff out.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Of course.
I think they did it pretty good justice. But I
Would you
mean,
say that Batman's your favorite character?
Batman, I mean, he probably might be the person I've read the most of. My one, it's been from since a kid too. Would be my number one would be Daredevil.
Oh, yes.
I love Matt Murdock. I love the dichotomy of the perceived weakness of the blind man and stuff
Right.
like that.
What did you think of the Netflix series that they
I
did?
dug it. I think season 3 kind of lost its direction a little bit.
Yeah.
But I really like Charlie Cox as Daredevil. I've heard slight rumor that Charlie Cox has reprised his Daredevil role, and that he's going to be like almost like kind of maybe a background cameo, or maybe something more in the next Spider-Man movie that just released a trailer.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm fingers crossed for that, because there is some of that Netflix cinematic, that Netflix TV universe that I like. I
yeah,
like Jessica Jones.
it was pretty good.
Kristen Ritter is a great person to play that role.
Yeah, Iron Fist was pretty good. Luke Cage
Yeah,
was pretty good. Like
yeah,
none of them were standout stuff, but they were all
no,
pretty good.
yeah, they're all pretty good, and I really like Johnny Barenthal as the Punisher. I
Oh
think that's just
yes,
really good casting.
the Punisher to me is like, I mean, he's just a human dude. It's kind of like the Batman, where Batman's just a guy that's tough and
Yep.
works out lots, and he's a good detective. And the same thing for Punisher, where he's just like, he's just a, a just a guy that's like on a vengeance streak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know?
And he's one of those complex guys, like their soul and their mind frame and everything's complex. Their rules are different, their morals are different. That's why I'm excited for there's one a Netflix series, I guess would be the Disney Plus stuff now. Moon Knight is coming, and
Yes.
I am psyched, because Moon Knight is a character that I feel only really started getting its love in the last 10 years in comic form. Like people have, like, the fans have like kind of really fleshed him out again and wanted more of him,
Oh, interesting.
which I think is really cool, because he's like a schizophrenic
Yeah,
anti-hero. He's not even really a hero, right? And you got
right.
Oscar Isaac playing him in this. Like, this is some potential right
And I
here.
thought the same thing of that Cloak and Dagger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I watched it, and I was like,
Wrong studio at the time. I think it was Hulu that did it, and I just don't think they were putting the money into it.
yeah,
Honestly, I
they just
think,
missed the mark, you know?
yeah, I think shows like Legion, that show got it. That show understood like what kind of story to make. Like Noah Hawley, the guy that made that one, just like, I don't know, he like took these characters, these really fringe characters, and was like, I'm just going to do something totally fucked up on my own with it.
Totally.
And for 3 seasons, it blew your mind, because each episode is like this weird art film that also has like mutants in it, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a couple days ago, fuck, I can't remember the site now, but I read that they were thinking of doing like a Secret Wars, man.
I would be into it. They've already introduced the scrolls and everything. Like, they've already got the template of everything up. Um, I think right now, part of them is kind of working out the next Avengers team. I think because heading into this weekend, Shang-Chi is like part of the setup to this.
Right.
We've already seen a little bit of it in Black Widow, which will lead into this Hawkeye series, and phase out Jeremy Renner's character, because
Right.
I think
Which we
that's
don't need
coming.
Hawkeye anyway. So
No, well, you're going to get a different Hawkeye. You're going to get Kate Bishop, which is a different. It's Haley Steinfeld's playing her, so it's going to be like a different dynamic of the Hawkeye character that's going to be part of the Avengers, because they've already, like, even with WandaVision, they're setting all of this. Excuse me.
which was cool. The fucking
Yeah,
WandaVision was like the first episode, like, what the hell is going on?
it's like weird ass Twin Peaks shit right in the middle
Totally.
of a MCU like story. Like, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it was
Do you know
good.
what? The one thing I will say that I love about at the top of everything that I love about Marvel is the chances they take in making each film like a more subversive superhero story. Like, it can switch up the genre, it can spin it. Ant-Man can be a heist film, and all of a sudden you can make Thor, the third Thor movie will just all of a sudden be a comedy. Like, let's just play with stuff and see what works. And largely, I think it's has been working. The
Yeah,
formula kind of works, I guess.
I agree. I agree. What superpower would you want to have?
I mean, I the Deadpool regeneration thing always makes me laugh. It's just so like it's so annoying, and that's what I've always loved about his power. And yeah, it'd just be a fun party favor.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Steve, let's get now. I told you I was going to need you for 15, 20 minutes. And
Yeah,
we're
I
already a
know.
half hour and we're
I
not even
talk way
fucking
too
anywhere
much.
near done. So
I talk way too much.
I hope you're okay with sticking around for a little bit. So,
Oh,
but let's
always.
get outside of podcasting. Let's get outside of movies and,
Sure.
being a movie critic and what you're known for. What's the music in the Stebbing house as a kid growing up? What
Oh,
are your parents playing?
my
Get to know you a
mom.
bit here.
Yeah, my mom is a big reason that I love the music that I do. Because I remember like Van Halen tapes in the car. I remember OU 812. I mean, remember that tape being in the car.
Nice. Finish what you started and
Yes.
gobble wobble.
Yes. We also had, obviously 1984 and 2 in there. I remember what was the Robert Plant solo album in the mid, was it Now and Zen?
Now and
I think that was one of his like mid 80s solo records. I just
something like
remember
that.
him all like windswept on the cover and stuff, like just the
Yeah.
locks blowing in the breeze, and every my mom was probably just loved that cover, just to be
Yeah.
honest. Um White Snake, like just like she had that rocker angle, because I didn't get into my metal stuff until later, but I mean she got the
Who
ball
was it that got
rolling.
you into the metal stuff?
Was my be my friend Rogan in Calgary, because we um it was a lot from just like from the radio that just kind of bled into us discovering things and
Yeah.
everything. And I think um I didn't start into the really heavy stuff until I'd seen Mortal Kombat. This is a weird story, because I saw Mortal Kombat and there's a scene where Johnny Cage fights Scorpion in the underworld, and Zero Signal by Fear Factory starts playing.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
And I was like, that's so fast. What is that?
What is this?
What is that? Who is this man, Raymond Herrera? And why is he going so fast? And from there, I just like Metallica and Megadeth and everything that I'd kind of discovered through the radio and everything. For that period of time just wasn't enough. I started moving it. Like I would still listen to Injustice on repeat, and
Yeah.
that was always in the CD changer. But yeah, I mean, just up and up from there. Cold Chambers, and then of course discovering Slipknot at Ozfest '99 at Thunderbird Stadium. Bunch of guys in jumpsuits and masks. So who the fuck are these
What is
guys?
going on here now?
What is going on? Why are there
And
so many drum sets? What is going?
Right, and they're close, man. They're like 3 songs away from a new record.
Oh my god! Yeah, and I guess Corey's had to recover from
Yeah, I got COVID and yeah.
God, but he released a solo record in the
Yeah,
pandemic.
I know, crazy. And he also did some touring and stuff. And a guy I know, Zach Thorne, is like the guitar player in the band.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like, what?
And goes back to the movie nerd thing. He has these 2 documentaries that he produced on Shudder, and he's a interview subject in it. It's called In Search of Darkness, and it just goes through horror movies of the 1980s. And it's like each movie is like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Like it's a comprehensive like compendium of just every horror movie in the 80s, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's
And
the
didn't
best.
Corey Taylor also like act in some of the movies in the last couple of years?
He did. And I think he did music for a movie recently. Just fingers in every pie in the world, you know.
You hear about these guys, like, where the fuck do these guys find the time? Like, I can barely do what I'm doing, and it's nothing in comparison to so many people.
I know, it's yeah, envious. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was your first concert?
My first concert there was a series of time when they were having on Canada Day, they were having the Great Canadian Bash or whatever across Canada. There would be one like in Barrie.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was one at Thunderbird Stadium, and the headliner was Spinal Tap. Yeah. And they even did Stonehenge. They had the FedEx
That's
guy show up
incredible.
and unwrap the Stonehenge. I saw Tragically Hip there
Wow.
at like, I mean, to be connected, like it sounds the Canadian cheesy, but to be connected with Gord in any
Yeah.
shape or form of your life as a Canadian is just, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I 5440. I remember so many of the bands there. I remember sitting up on that little hill
Just on the side there. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, on the side with my mom and my stepdad, and just watching bands all day,
Yeah.
all day.
I
Yeah,
would say that T-Bird's probably my favorite concert that I've ever been to was at T-Bird.
yeah,
Like it was
it's special.
91 Lala, fucking Chili
Oh,
Peppers, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Ministry, Ice Cube,
oh
Jesus and
my
Mary
god.
Chain,
Yes, there's
Side
another Crow
Stage.
soundtrack band.
Yeah, it was untouchable, man. That's
Yeah,
like 30 years ago, and I still have yet to see a show better than that.
yeah, that's insane. And
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of Pearl Jam recently, especially older stuff too. So like that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hits hard.
Dude, like 91 was like Pearl Jam
Mm-hmm.
10, Nirvana Nevermind, Soundgarden Bad Motorfinger, Chili Peppers Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And this is all within like fucking 6 weeks of each other being released. 30
That,
years ago, man.
that's insane. Funny story about Blood Sugar Sex Magic and about music origins. My mom bought me that tape when I was out visiting her, because I lived with my dad in Calgary at the time. When I was out visiting my mom, she bought me that, Pearl Jam 10, and Faith No More Is the Real Thing, which
Nice.
Faith No More became one of my favorite bands of all time that still are.
Yeah.
Just Mike Patton in general just is a god to me. But
Yeah.
my dad discovered the leaflet for the Red Hot Chili Peppers album and went through it. I read it, didn't know anything about them, read it, because my dad listens to like Gloria Estefan and like Celine Dion. And I mean, the hardest thing I think I got him to listen to is the Cranberries, and he really likes the Cranberries. So when he highlighted all the offensive stuff in Blood Sugar Sex Magic, just the whole album, just
Right.
mailed it to my mom with the tape, and it's like, don't ever give this to our son again.
Yeah.
That just made me want to listen to it more. But
More. And dude, if
yeah,
you
give
haven't
me
seen
more.
the
Give me more.
they did that about 90-minute movie with Rick Rubin,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the making of the Blood Sugar Sex Magic in the house that they recorded, and like, you know, a ton of the how they put these songs together, and then of course like just a mitt full of all the debauchery and crazy shit that went down too. And it's like, holy fuck, those guys were like, Chad Smith is the drummer is the only guy that's not crazy in that band.
It's hilarious. I'm glad my dad didn't have access to the behind the scenes. I'll just say that.
Totally. I almost don't even want to open up this can of worms with you, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Sure.
Do you believe that aliens have visited Earth, or
Oh,
even live among us?
it's possible. I mean, it's probably been said many times before, but I feel like to believe that we are the only thing, we are the only, you know, intelligent beings in the world, in the universe, is kind of
Far-fetched.
egocentric.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you look at what the weird shit that we have on this planet already that is natural, like even just weird animals. Like, watch Planet Earth, you're gonna find 6 animals per episode. You're like, what the fuck is that? So like, that there are aliens that, yeah, 100%, maybe they crawl out of the earth all the time. Maybe they're maybe
Yeah.
that's what the insane conspiracy theory hollow earth is actually, and it's just like weird pods that hatch every 150 years, 200 years or something like that, and come cause some chaos and then turn into something else. Who knows? Who knows? That's what I love. That's what I love about a modern society, is when we discover like new shit all the time. We discover so much shit that it gets forgotten about in like 4 days. And
Right.
then you're like, it becomes a footnote. You're like, remember that thing they were talking about? There was like the Pentagon released some like aliens on video like 6 months ago. Yeah, whatever. I don't
Right.
know.
Oh, the attention span to the news cycle is just
Mm-hmm.
incredible now, right?
Yeah,
Like they
exactly.
literally did release that. They
Mm-hmm.
released like, yes, we have seen aliens, and and it's like blip, 3 days
Yeah.
later, gone.
Yeah, we could have already seen proof that there are aliens walking around, but we probably already forgot about it.
Right. Right.
Who knows?
Who's the most famous person you've met?
Whoa. Most famous person I've met.
Met Steve or Kevin Smith?
I did. I met Kevin Smith. Yeah, that was a big one. Jay Baruchel, as far as
Yeah.
Canadians go, that was a pretty good one. Um, yeah.
Did you
I would
meet
say that's
Stan
it.
Lee?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
I didn't get the lineup was so long. Like I think him and Shatner, as far as expos go, were the longest lines that I saw at that convention. They were just huge. One that was, I wish that I had the courage to just walk up and talk to her, but I was like at a fan expo, I was like 20 feet away from Carrie Fisher.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and like that's a huge one. I mean, for
Dude.
any like, I mean, for any Star Wars fan, that's a huge one. But that's like,
Yeah.
first crush.
Yeah. It's Star Wars over Star Trek, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's why I enjoy Discovery. I'm sure I'll get some tweet me at the Steve Dead if you hate that, because I'm sure that's getting some hate, because that is a decisive show with Star Trek fans.
Yeah, totally.
From what I understand, they really don't like that show, but I'm like, I'm having fun with it. I'm late to the game. I'm going through all the Blu-rays right now, and I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
cool.
I do like the Star Trek movies though. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah. I don't like Into Darkness. I felt like making Benedict Cumberbatch Khan Noonan Singh was fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if that's where we're going, like,
Yeah.
you're no Ricardo Montalban.
Yes, exactly. Steve, what's in store for you for the rest of 2021?
Oh boy. Well, I just started doing like a Friday spot with Jazz Joe Hall. Just kind of like what I was doing on the Toddcast, just like a pre-recorded a bit, just pumping out the movie that's coming out. But that's in addition to my work I do on the shift with Shane Hewitt. Every Thursdays, I give a huge rundown of movies coming out and give my thoughts on it. There's everything on my website, stevestebbing.ca, this is just my week to week of just watching as much as I can and giving my thoughts on it. And then I do a horror podcast as well with friends Kurt and Taylor, called Tremble. And I mean, the plethora of movies that we've talked on Tremble is crazy. Classics to like really bad sequels like The Fly 2, which we just did, which filmed in Vancouver, funny enough.
No
But
way, was it really?
yeah, it was a large amount of it's SFU, like that main concourse.
Oh, okay.
Is like the labs, is like the Brundlefly labs and everything. And I'm working on something myself, just like kind of like a solo cast where I just grab people and talk for a little bit with like just general discussion, no kind of focus. Like, it's not a movie show. Like, we'll probably talk movies because I always slip into that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or music or pop culture or whatever, just to chat. And I just was spinning the wheels and trying to find out what to do for myself. And I was just like, over the last year and a bit, of like, I just want to do something for me,
Yeah.
just like put out something for me, like almost like a diary of what I'm at with conversations with my friends, as more of just a mental check. So if people listen, they listen. If they don't, who knows?
Man, I'm in that same boat, bud.
Yeah.
Trying to get people listening. The weirdest thing is sometimes, like, you know, you release something and you're like, this might do something, and it
Mhm.
just blows up.
Yep.
Whereas you're like, fuck, I talked to Kim Coates and only got like 500 listens. Like, how did that
Right.
happen? What the fuck?
Oh man.
Kim Coates.
I know I mean, this career I would have had with that guy. Just so much to say.
Yeah, totally right. Awesome, Steve. I'm going to wrap it up here. You're easy to find online.
Yes.
You're at the Stevel Dead on
everywhere
Twitter
I can.
and Instagram.
Yes.
And your website is Steve Stebbing, STEBBING.ca.
Yes. That's
Awesome.
me.
Say hi to Jen for me.
Will do.
Thank you again
buddy.
for doing this with us tonight. And I guess we'll see you online.
Yes. Thanks for having me, man. It's been an honor.